Most people spend their entire lives running from debt. They pay it off as fast as they can. They avoid it like it's a disease. They feel relief when they finally get out of it. And here's the part nobody talks about. The wealthiest people in the world are not running from debt. They're running toward it. They wake up in the morning looking for more of it. They use it to build empires, they use it to generate income while they sleep, and they use it to stay multiple steps ahead of people who are still trying to pay it off. So the question isn't whether debt is dangerous. The real question is, why does the same thing that keeps millions of people broke help a small group of people build generational wealth? What do they know that most people don't? Because I promise you, it has nothing to do with income. It has nothing to do with luck. And it has everything to do with how they think. Stay with me, because by the end of this, the way you see debt will never be the same. Here's something that will mess with your head a little. Two people can take on the exact same amount of debt and end up in completely opposite situations. One ends up broke, the other ends up rich. Same number. Totally different outcomes. Why? Because it's not the debt that determines the result. It's what you do with the money you borrowed. Most people use debt to buy things that lose value. A car that starts depreciating the moment you drive it off the lot. A vacation that's gone the moment you board the return flight. Furniture, electronics, stuff. And there's nothing wrong with any of those things on their own. But when you borrow money to buy them, you're paying interest on something that's already shrinking in value. You're going backwards at full speed. Now here's where it gets interesting. Wealthy people borrow money too, sometimes massive amounts of it. But they almost never borrow it to consume something. They borrow it to acquire something, something that generates more money than the debt costs, something that grows in value while they sleep, something that other people pay for month after month. That's the gap. It's not a money gap. It's a thinking gap. Let me show you how differently wealthy people process debt. When most people hear the word debt, they feel it in their chest. A knot. Anxiety. A number they want to disappear. It feels like a burden on their back that they need to shake off. When wealthy people hear the word debt, they ask one question. What's the return? That's it. That's the whole mental difference. They're not asking, how do I get rid of this? They're asking, how much is this going to make me? They don't see debt as money they owe. They see it as capital they can deploy. Think of it this way. If someone handed you a tool that cost you 4% a year to rent, and that tool generated 12% a year in returns, would you give the tool back? Of course not. You'd keep renting it. You'd try to get more of them. That's exactly how wealthy people look at debt, as a rented tool. And here's what they figured out that most people haven't. Not all debt works this way. A lot of it doesn't, but some of it does. And knowing the difference is worth more than almost any financial education you could get. So let's talk about 3 specific ways wealthy people actually use debt to build wealth. Imagine this. You find a property worth $200,000. You don't have $200,000, but you have 20. You borrow the other 180. You now control a $200,000 asset with only 20,000 of your own money. Now here's where the math gets fascinating. That property grows in value, not on your 20,000, on the full 200,000. If it goes up 10%, you haven't made $2,000, you've made 20,000 on a $20,000 investment. That's a 100% return. The bank's money worked just as hard as yours did, except you're the one who keeps the profit. This is called leverage, and it's one of the most powerful wealth-building concepts that almost nobody talks about, honestly. Now, and this is important, leverage cuts both ways. If that property drops in value, you don't just lose 20,000. You lose on the full 200. Wealthy people know this, which is why they don't use leverage recklessly. They use it carefully, on assets with strong fundamentals, in markets they understand, and they always keep enough reserve that a bad month doesn't wipe them out. The goal isn't to maximize borrowing. The goal is to use borrowed capital to control more value than you could ever buy with cash alone. But that's not even the smartest part of how they use debt. There's another layer most people never discover. Let's say you borrow money at 5%, and you use that money to buy something that pays you 9%. Every single month, you're collecting the difference. The asset is paying for itself and putting extra money in your pocket on top. This is the second way wealthy people use debt. Not just to control things that grow, but to own things that generate income while they sleep. Think about rental property. You borrow money to buy a building. A tenant moves in. Their rent covers your loan payment. covers your expenses, and ideally, there's money left over. The tenant is essentially paying off the debt for you while you own the asset, while the asset grows in value, and while you collect the difference every month. Now, here's what separates wealthy people from everyone else on this one. Most people look at this and say, that sounds risky. Wealthy people look at this and say, what's the spread? They're obsessively focused on one number, the difference between what the debt costs them and what the asset earns them. As long as that number is positive and stays positive, the debt is working for them. This is why wealthy people don't race to pay off low-interest debt on income-producing assets, because paying it off early means losing access to capital that was actively making them money. Before you assume this is only for people with millions in the bank, it's not. The concept scales. It starts with one good decision, then another, then another. But there's still one more strategy, and this one might be the most overlooked of all. Hold on for a second. If you're the kind of person who actually thinks this deeply about money, you're already in a different category than most people. And I want to make sure you don't miss what's coming next because it's the part most people never figure out. Hit subscribe. Join the people who are learning to see money differently. Not more money, just a different lens. Because that lens changes everything. Here's a question most people never ask. What if the real cost of not using debt isn't the interest you avoid paying, but the opportunity you lose while you wait to save? Think about two people. Same goal, same starting point. Person A decides to save up. 5 years of grinding, of waiting, of missing the moment. When they finally have enough, they move. Person B decides to borrow strategically. They move immediately. They capture the opportunity. They spend the next 5 years building while person A was still saving. 5 years from now, they're not even in the same game. This is the third way wealthy people use debt. Not just to grow assets, not just to generate cash flow, but to compress time. They use borrowed capital to move faster than saving would ever allow, to enter opportunities before they close, to act when others are still waiting. Think about a business owner who needs equipment to fulfill a contract. They could wait 6 months and save for the equipment. Or they could borrow the money, fulfill the contract next week, and use the revenue to pay off the debt. The debt didn't cost them money, waiting would have. This is the version of debt that feels most counterintuitive, because we've been trained to associate borrowing with desperation, with being behind, with not having enough. But for wealthy people, borrowing strategically is often a sign of confidence. Confidence that the opportunity is real, confidence that the return justifies the cost, and confidence that they understand the risk well enough to take it. There's a reason self-made millionaires are not the people with the cleanest balance sheets. They're often the people with the most strategically placed debt. So let's bring this together. Debt used to buy things that shrink in value. That's the debt that makes people poorer. Debt used to acquire things that grow, generate income, or create opportunity. That's the debt that builds wealth. And the terrifying truth is that both of them feel exactly the same when you sign for them. Same paperwork, same process, same number on the page. The difference lives entirely in the decision. Most people were taught that debt is the enemy, and for most of the ways most people use it, that's actually true. But the wealthy weren't taught to avoid debt. They were taught to understand it. And once you understand it, really understand it, you stop seeing debt as a trap. You start seeing it as a question. What does this get me? What does it earn? Is the return worth the cost? Ask those questions and you're thinking differently than almost everyone around you. Because here's the real secret, the one that ties everything together. The gap between wealthy people and everyone else isn't how much money they have. It's how they think about the money they don't have yet.